You've heard of the 7 deadly sins. We're going to talk about 7 potentially deadly prepper mistakes.
Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Kylene.
And I'm Jonathan. Today we're talking about 7 potentially deadly prepper mistakes. And there are probably a lot more than that. At the end of the video, we're going to ask you to throw out some ideas of things that you think are deadly mistakes, because there's a lot of them. So we're going to talk just for a few minutes about 7 that we think are important.
Now, the whole reason why we prep is to keep our families and ourselves safe regardless of what happens in the future. Right. Now, understanding that, it makes more sense why these could be deadly, right? Because we've worked so hard, but we make these mistakes and all bets might be off. So the first one, actually making decisions that are motivated by fear. I personally believe that we should never allow fear to be a motivating factor. I recognize that that is what is sold in the prepper community. Everybody is selling things and wanting you to buy things because you're going to be afraid if you don't have this thing that you're not going to survive. And I think that's a really bad way to make a decision. I think our decisions need to be made by looking at what the risk is or what the challenge is, thinking it through, and then deciding what really might make a difference for you and your family. And it might be different for you than it is for us, and that's okay. But take fear out of that equation and just logically think through before you make decisions that are important.
Number 2 is relying on others. Some people rely on the government. They think the government's going to step up when something really bad happens. And to some extent, they try to, but they just can't take care of all of us.
Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. What about grandma and grandpa? Are you just relying on grandma and grandpa to take care of whatever happens in an emergency? Or perhaps, like we heard one time in our elementary school, there was a mom there who said, hey, we've stocked up on all of our guns and our ammo, and we don't need to store food because we'll take whatever we want. Now, do you see how bad that plan is?
Seriously bad.
Now, yeah, in a way we rely on others. In a way we have our community, right? But we need to first and foremost rely on ourselves in order for us to be safe.
Right, and that leads right into our number 3, is neglecting the power of community. Now, we're not going to necessarily completely rely on others, but we're going to rely on each other. That's the whole key to this thing working, is we have specialties, things that we do well, others have their specialties. Everybody's working together, and together we get things done. Together we can make it through any kind of crisis.
But let's talk about community for a second. When we say community, we don't mean your entire neighborhood or your city, because we know there are people who are prepared, there are good people, and quite frankly, there are some people who could be very, very dangerous. So when we talk about community, we're talking about building a network of people that you can work together with, friends, family, neighbors, church members, wherever you are, just getting with other people that are like-minded. Like tomorrow, we are having a class in my house about how to cook beans with just some of our friends and neighbors. Some of them actually live in a neighboring city, but it's kind of a network of women that we've gotten together where we want to learn some valuable skills, and I just happen to be hosting it tomorrow. That is what we talk about when we say community. Community is really important.
Number 4, the one and done philosophy. And we were talking to my mom yesterday, and she said, oh yeah, this family said that 25 years ago they bought the food that they think they need, they've stuck it in the garage, they're done. They don't want to think about it anymore. This is not the direction we want to go. First of all, the storage conditions are terrible, very, very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer. But more than that, this is a lifestyle. This is something that we do and we keep doing, because as we keep doing it, we get better and better. We can't just do something once and be done. We have to keep it moving.
Okay, and that kind of takes us into number 5, which is research or basic knowledge versus real life experience. Because like John was talking about, they put that food in their garage. Do they know how to cook it? Do they know if their bodies will tolerate it? Do they know if it's actually good after that 25 years? You'll hear all kinds of theories on the internet and that different people are trying to sell you, but have they walked the walk? And even like us, we always walk the walk. We experiment and do this. What works for us in our situation, there might be a reason why it doesn't work for you. For instance, if your plan is to cook everything over an open fire and you have gotten everything that you need so that you can have a fire in your backyard, but you haven't done it, then do you realize what complications could be there? Do you really have the right cooking tools, the right equipment? Do you have enough matches or enough lighters or all kinds of stuff? Do you know that the wind is horrible when you're trying to cook outdoors, right? So have you figured out all this stuff? You can't do that through a book. The only way that you can learn is by walking the walk. One of the things that we did that was incredibly valuable for our family was to not go to the store for 3 months. Now, let me tell you, that was painful. That was miserable. We have an entire playlist of videos that we created every week on what we did during that time. But we learned so much. One of the greatest things that I think I learned was not to be motivated by marketing strategies, and that we're okay. I have great peace now because we lived off of basic food storage and what we were growing in our garden, and we were okay. It wasn't easy, but we were just fine. And then we were able to tweak our storage and our preps and recognize what else we needed. So make sure that you're practicing. Make prepping just part of your normal life. And maybe we don't call it prepping. Maybe we call it more self-reliance, right? And just putting some of those things into your daily life, and you're cooking once a week or once a month with alternative cooking, or you're turning off your power just even for one day to see what happens and what you need to improve so that you're okay if you can't turn it back on.
Number 6, neglecting your health. Now that's physical and emotional health. You have to have your health. When things get rough, it's not going to be okay to have a lot of problems that are going to make it worse. So take care of your health. Stay fit and strong and healthy. Work with your doctor to figure out what you need to do to make sure that you're on the right path, and what medications do you need? What kinds of things do you need so that in a crisis situation, life is going to go on and it's going to be happy?
And one of the areas that I'm working at, many of you know that I have MS and I'm trying to get as healthy as I possibly can. And I'm working with different techniques of what I can do so that I can get healthier. But one of the other things is, what are you going to do when there is no medical care, right? And that's one of the things that we're working with my natural remedies, right? I'm growing the herbs that I need. I'm learning how to use them. This is different for everybody. But I think that it's kind of really important to make sure that you take a step back and figure that out, that we're doing everything we can to be healthy and strong today. And number 7 is, I think it's actually should be number 1. The most deadly mistake that you can make is to lose hope. And it's interesting, as we have read through comments, especially with some of the nuclear fears that are out there right now about a nuclear event, and that is a big scary event, but there are so many people that just say, I just want to die. I don't even want to work on this. I just let the bomb hit me and me and my family, we're just gone. Hope for a brighter future. We are going to have hard times, no doubt about that. Life is hard. It's meant to be hard. But there's so much to hope for and so many good things that we can look forward to. So what is it that brings you hope? For me, it is Jesus Christ. And I have a lot of faith and a testimony of his love and his power and the reason to hope. What is it that brings you hope? What do you have to say about that?
Well, I've been reading some books. Actually, the ones that maybe you saw, Jim Phillips, and he recommended 3 books. And it's on how people survive, why they survive when others don't. And a lot of it centers around that hope and that love. Most of the people in these books made it through because they had some higher purpose. They had some reason. They needed to get to their family, or they needed to take care of their family. these are all forms of hope where we can keep that faith and that hope and make a real difference in the world because we're reaching out to others.
And if we give up now, if we lose hope now, are we going to be able to endure anything really hard? Hold on to hope, hold on to life, and really think it through. And if you don't have a reason to hope, find one. I just strongly encourage you because that's really important.
So these are the 7 deadly prepper mistakes that we wanted to share with you. Reach out to us and in the comments and let us know.
What's the biggest mistake for you? What?
Yeah, there you go.
What do you think is the very biggest mistake? Put that in those comments.
Thanks for being part of the solution.